Anyway, yeah, nice to hear from all of you. I was surprised that Githeri was winning. Let me start there. I think I ate too much Githeri in high school until it became too much. So for Chapati, I saw Chapati won. I'm actually based in Germany. I'm currently based in Germany. I'm working for SAP at the SAP headquarters in their digital compliance team, which is under the cybersecurity teams in SAP. And when you come to Chapati, I don't even want to mention it because how much I miss it in Kenya, back there in Kenya, because I can't find it here. And I actually underestimated how much I would find it in the streets. So nice to hear that most of you are actually devs, because today we'll be speaking about application security, and that is securing, ensuring that you're coding with the security in your mind. Because one thing I keep saying is that security will never be 100%, even when we do all the awesome things that we think that we can do in this world. And ethical hackers will always be on our necks, and so are ethical hackers who is us are here to protect those systems. So we have to work together to see who is smarter and who beats the other. Companies are losing quite a lot of money in data breaches. Companies take like 217 days in a year to identify a data breach. 217 days, with a year having 365 days, 365 days. You can see how much that takes. So one takeaway from this session is also to see, to ensure that you have a system that is coordinating, that is looking at any breaches that you may have, and also monitoring that system. So Mimi, for Kiswahili speakers, Mimi is, it's not the meme, it's saying me, myself. For non-Kiswahili speakers, non-Swahili speakers. So I'm a software engineer, have a background in software engineering. And from software engineering, I transitioned to cybersecurity, which is technically part of it. But I've really been passionate about cybersecurity almost all my life, since I knew the existence of movies. Because when I used to watch movies, I used to love the investigative type of movies. And I got tired, sick of people who would just start monitoring other people, whether it's their houses, their cameras, without their consent. I'm a big fan of privacy. I'm a big fan of believing that privacy is a human right. I'm currently at SAP, at the SAP headquarters, which is one of the leading software tech firms in the world. And yes, in the digital product compliance, and also working on some application security topics. I'm founder of Wahandisi Femme. I started this when I was in campus because I wanted to create more agency for girls to get more knowledge into tech and insights into tech and engineering courses, so that it can also be one of their choices as they're making their major career choices. I sit in the IT security committee and also in the software and systems engineering committee of the Kenya Bureau of Standards, where in both committees I'm tasked with coming up with standards that govern our whole country, and also if there are any international standards in the ISO portal, to ensure that we are voting for our country to adopt those standards in the right way. So I'm also a KEBS fan. I'm a government fan when it comes to implementing these laws. So let's get to the fundamentals. Does someone know what CIA means? I will write it in the chat. Please feel free to use the chat to comment. CIA. Does someone know what CIA stands for? Or you can unmute and speak. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I think it's the core of the security, that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability, I believe.
You're right. Robert says the Central Intelligence Agency, which is also right, because I asked in general. In this context, definitely it's of course answers the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. They also CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. I remember last year there's a time I really wanted to work in an intelligence agency. I had started looking for jobs in NIS and in CIA. In CIA, they required me to be an American citizen. So I had also checked like how to become an American citizen. But here I am, the path went also different for me. Also doing something that I'm passionate about, working for a company that I'm passionate about, and also putting it out there that in this session, I'm not representing SAP and opinions are strictly mine. So CIA, yes, it's confidentiality. Anytime you're thinking security, it's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So when you're getting into AppSec, what do you need to understand? First, you need to understand your technology, the technology that you're using, the system that you're using in your organization, or if a client has given you a job, understand the technology that's going to be used there first. And it's sometimes it takes time, but while you're learning, while you're using technology, you keep learning, you keep doing. A mistake once is allowed, twice is allowed, 3 times is allowed. So allow yourself also to make mistakes, because you can never understand technology stacks immediately. Number 2, your DevOps, especially from a risk perspective, what kind of risk is. Just think about any kind of risk. For example, if you're designing a messaging system, what kind of risk would be there? Parents would be asked for their school fees. You know, my Kenyan number is still in one of my phones. And the other day I saw a message saying that like a message from a student saying that, Mom, my box has been broken into. So I was imagining if actually I was a parent and I received that message, I would have actually thought it's my child's box that has been broken into. And that person was asking me for money, saying that I should send 2,800 Kenyan shillings to a specific number. And these are the kind of scams that go on and on. So even when you're designing a system, think about those small scams, because 2,800 is an amount of money. That is how many plates of githeri for all, you know, how many chapatis for all of us, or bao choy, bani choy for all of us. But anyway, or even it can pay a full cost for you. I love reading books. I love reading technical books and leadership books. That's quite like 2 books for me. So just think of it from such a perspective, from any kind of risk that may occur. And also the skill set, empathy. As tech guys, it's a stereotype that's out there, and I'm never surprised anymore when someone tells me that we are never empathetic, that we always put the blame on the users or show users that they don't know anything. So one thing that you must try to grow is your empathy skills when you're in AppSec, because you're dealing with developers like you, and you're dealing, especially when you're a team lead, and you're dealing with users. When I make a mistake, and Faith, you come to me and start howling at me and telling me it's because I don't know stuff. The next time there's a bug, I won't inform you. And you know what? Our system will be compromised. But when you come to me, Faith, and understand and seek understanding, like, okay, this is what happened. I was using my email address, and then I clicked on this document, and boom, I received this prompt that or that our system has been interfered with. When you listen to me, when you're empathetic to me, next time I'll even come before you coming to me. I'll just come and tell you know what, I suspect there's a bug here, or I suspect there's a system problem. Because when you're developing something, especially for big companies or for a large cohort of users, anything is bound to happen. And yes, we say people are the weak link. We are also the weak link if we don't listen to them. So communication skills, and it should be as fast as possible. So I even if it's automated systems, ensure that there's fast communication that is informing you when there's a breach, what time, or if there's a breach, what time do you take to resolve that breach? And ultimately have the technical skills that are required for any AppSec developer to have them. Yes, some is saying that is to 80 chapatis for him. I like how that food activity has turned. So you want to get started in application security, and I'm here convincing you to get started in it and to come into cybersecurity. So the first thing that you need to do is get into communities. Myself, I started following people in AppSec on Twitter. That's how I actually gained interest in LinkedIn. Twitter, we have communities such as We Hack Purple, where I've done some of their courses, and their courses can be something in terms of monetary aspect, but I got scholarships. I got scholarships because they were advertised on Twitter and I saw them. And I decided, okay, let me apply for this scholarship and see, because it was for people of color, underrepresented communities, that is, and see what is the worst that would happen. The worst that could happen is a no. So once you follow these people, there'll always be an opportunity. And all I was required to invest in was my time, nothing else, not money. Well, sometimes I've paid for courses which required me to do a monetary investment. Yes, but most of the time I'm really happy taking scholarships that are in my career direction. And also OWASP is also a good community to join. Keep learning in terms of books. There are free books out here. There are, but always promote others, of course. Courses are there, online courses, offline courses. I don't know, I can't recommend any in Kisumu or Nairobi in terms of physical courses, but online courses, I would recommend Udemy or Udemy. I would recommend We Hack Purple that is here, that I've already done, and also security innovation courses. It's called Security SI, Security Innovation. They also have amazing courses. This is based on my experience. I know there are a lot, 1,001 courses out here, and I can only recommend the ones that I know. I'm also currently doing one of the awards that I won last year is called the Cyber Leadership Program Embodiment. And it teaches you, there are various courses on cyber leadership. If you are aspiring to be a cyber leader like me, you also get courses there that show you also how you, one of the key takeaways I always get from those courses is how to convince the board, because cybersecurity is a very big topic that has no direct input. It's not like when I develop an app and go convince the board that if we sell this, we'll get profits. This one is in-house, it has no direct profits. So I need to know how to convince them more often, and depending on how the changes are happening. Get a professional mentor or mentors. Through Twitter, we have one that is run by Tenya Jenka. It's called Cyber Mentoring Monday. But when it comes to mentors, for me, I always prefer that you create a relationship with a person first, and then you can ask them to be their mentor. And sometimes these relationships are not on paper. Maybe someone is a mentor. Maybe your mentor is here today. Ensure that you connect with everyone here afterwards. But it's also important, even when you're a dev, not necessarily in AppSec, when you're also passionate about leadership, it's also important to have a mentor, someone who is guiding you, someone who is an accountability partner for you. Yes, before I was mentored, I had very strong opinions about it. And when I got a mentor, those strong opinions changed, and I can always recommend mentorship any day. Attend conferences, such as what you're doing today. Network with people there, talk to people. Of course, the environment now has changed compared to when we were offline, when we would speak to each other, when we would have chit chats or go for coffee. But even being online does not, online events does not limit. I'm picking this call from Germany. Maybe if you're in Kenya, I would have told Maureen, no, I cannot make it to Kisumu from Nairobi. So attend those conferences, network, learn what other projects are doing on, and also volunteer in security projects such as the open source one in OWASP. I hope we are still clear on that. Which one is more outstanding? Which one do you think is the easiest there for you? Let me hear first. Feel free to type on the chat or unmute. We are actually very few of us, so you can actually unmute and see which one do you find the most convenient for you there in terms of getting started in AppSec. Waiting for answers. Yes, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Diana. So I'm pretty much interested in how can you, about the professional mentors. So how can you identify that if I develop relationship with this person, it won't feel like I'm bothering them to mentor me on cybersecurity? Like, so how can you identify a professional mentor? Yeah. Let's start from there.
Good question. Any other comments I can see? I'm answering you, Maureen, shortly. About this thing, OWASP is easier for him in terms of volunteering and also joining that community. Yeah, it's a very supportive and amazing community. Any other thoughts? So Malik says learning through courses and books is easy, and then it's hard to find a mentor. So on the topic of mentorship, when it comes to cybersecurity, because on LinkedIn, I think I can count every week where I receive requests for mentorship, and what I say is be specific. Be very specific about what you want from that mentoring project. Give it a timeline. Actually, look at it from a project. What do I want? Answer the W's, the 4 W's: what, why, where, who, and how. Yeah. So what do I want from this mentorship? If I've approached one of you, for example, I'll tell them I want mentorship in Flutter. This is where I am. Could you please push me to the next level? And also in your head, think about what am I bringing to the table, because mentorship should be a relationship, but let that not pressure you, because it's not a must you bring something to the table, by the way, because you're there to learn. And then also give it a timeline. So for me, what I do with my mentor, once we started the mentorship relationship last year, I put blockers on the calendar because I met her, and then she told me she can meet me once per month and for 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes. So what I did is that I dedicated a specific day, every first or every third Thursday of the month. It was every first Thursday, and then we pushed it to every third Thursday of the month at time X, Y, and Z. From this time to this time, we'll be meeting. And then she also told me, like, if you have any urgent request, I'm also happy to meet you. So that always works for me, because there's always a bit of commitment that I know every month I have to prepare a topic. And she told me, like, prepare a topic. If you don't have a topic, I can prepare it for you. And when the topics are over, I've all grown, and there's no end of growth, by the way. I've all grown, then we can stop the mentorship. And then I can move to the next one. Another thing I did is that when I was writing all my career goals, including the companies I want to work for, and including my current employer, who was also part of the company when I was doing all that stuff, I just sat in one evening and said, this life, I need to structure it the way I want, and start with the end goal in mind. And then I started writing the mentors I want. For business development, I need this kind of mentor. I have even names for them, and I have the year I want to approach them in, because it makes me, once I go to them, and I've already created relationships with some of them, and I've never met them, just through LinkedIn, commenting on their posts, and even commenting on inbox. I can see you post something and I have a very strong opinion. Instead of posting it there and looking like I'm attacking you, I can just come and tell you, I agree with you or I disagree with you because this is what I think, or I agree with it because this is what I think. Sometimes it's even formulating the relationship, showing up for their events, cheering them up when they're having these events, making recommendations for them. It looks like a lot of work, right? But that's one I think I do, like maybe once per year. So yeah, just creating a lot of relationships, identifying who you want, and even don't fear asking, what is the worst could happen? Approach that stranger you've always admired on LinkedIn or on Twitter. Tell them, I want this XYZ, this is what I want. Are you available to mentor me? Of course, make it as a request. Wait for their response. If they don't respond, it's not your fault. It's their fault. Yeah. In line with that, I will connect and talk with Maureen as my mentor. It's great that she's the one who asked that question. Maureen, you already have a request there. Yes, and Robert says some large companies have access to preferred security trainings to employees. Yes, yes, and online courses. Yeah, some large companies will always have that input. Let's keep the mentorship conversation going. Yeah. And back to the AppSec goals that you should always formulate. Now, for example, when you're employed and you're applying for that application security job, or where you're currently employed, where you're currently working, whether you're working as a consultant, or you're employed somewhere, you should always have goals in mind. If you want to convince the management to actually support your application security journey, because they have to see value in it. And the AppSec goals are just are 5 of them. There are many, but I've clustered them into 5. Number 1, your inventory. You have to have a mastery of every inventory that you have in terms of software, and you have to, even if it's this is hardware, yes, but it's a mouse, you know, like in anything that you have in terms that are computer related, have an inventory and ensure that you're tracking it right. If you've been in some of these companies that do not allow you to open your computers, even opening your computer, not even using it or working in certain countries, even opening the resources that they have given you, such as your computer or your work phone in specific countries. So if you're on this AppSec side, there should be a system monitoring where is your inventory worldwide, where is your inventory everywhere, because in case of an attack, you can also be able to allocate where did it start. The other thing is managing all the vulnerabilities. This word has an L and an R. So yeah, so ensure that you always manage them. Have VM scanners with you that are running all through, and also ensure that for me, I always recommend that it should be automated, that it's real time and it's very fast. The other goal that you must always have is eliminating bug classes. Yes, security is never 100%, but make it to 99. It's possible. Make it to 80%. It's actually possible. You just can't sit and say it's never 90%. You make your 100% and then let the hackers do the rest. Let them prove you right or wrong. You know, the other thing that you must always have is security education. This is training your developers, because you're in application security, that they have to code from left, you know, not like at the end. That's when when Fessy has brought me a system, and that's when I'm like, okay, let me start checking it out whether it's secure. No, I should work from the developer from the start. And one tactic that to ensure that security education is working in your organization is to always have an application security person right from the start in the developers team of any project, or a DevSecOps person in that project right from the start. A person who will run all the threat modeling workshops. This person will ensure that there are bug bounties going on, or there's a static applications system testing that happens just before the release of the bug of the product. You know, so have that. And the other thing is training your users. In terms of security, your users are your employees. First, the employees in that organization, to just be security conscious. Security culture is one of the topics I'm really passionate about, because I love speaking, and I know I can be convincing enough. So ensure that you have a security culture system in your organization, and that's where empathy comes in, because if you're not empathetic, no one will ever report anything. And also, even if it's a client, just ensure that when you're training them on how to use, also inform them about all the security instances that may happen. It won't make you look bad. You're just being transparent. The last thing is the secure software development lifecycle that Microsoft came up with in the year 2006. Instead of just having an SDLC, also ensure that you are just from the start again, you are developing a secure system. So these are the type of goals that you want to have. And goals must be SMART. SMART stands for, let me again type it to here. SMART. So the goals, you always have to have SMART goals they're specific, they're measurable, they are attainable, they're very realistic, and they're time bound. I always start with the time bound. Even for my personal life, if a goal is not time bound, then it better never exist in my life. So I have an exercise for you, and I need you to type in the chat. And I need only 2 answers, good or bad. Okay, so I'll give you an example of a goal. You'll tell me whether it's a good goal or bad goal. Good goal or bad goal. And don't say in the middle. It can be both. So it's either good or bad. So just type that when I show you the first. I hope we are ready. Ready? So the first AppSec goal that I will show you is goal number 1. Let's increase our AppSec by 20%. Is that a good goal or a bad goal? Robert says bad. I'm waiting for more answers. Benson, good. Okoth, good. What was Githeri? We'll see whether it's Githeri or let me look for that one. Banicho, that's winning. So good, bad. I'm waiting for more responses. Peter says good. Angel, is it good or bad? That's a good question. It's in an increase should be good. What's the end percentage? Yes, that's a good question. Is there anyone else who wants to answer? Dennis says good. Faith says that it's a good goal. So yes, let's keep it that way. Actually, yes, let me first ask you all of them and then we'll see which one is good and which one is bad. So goal number 2, I've taken note of all those who have answered good and bad. Let's see goal number 2. Goal number 2 is improve the speed and the way that our help desk handles security incidents by short trainings to our help desk team on how to spot them, what to do, and when to call you. Is it a good goal or is it a bad goal? Malik says good. Peter says good. Okoth says good. Hey, this one has no bad. No one says it's bad. Good. Robert says it could be better. Fessy says good. Yes. So goal number 3. So let's say goal number 2, everyone has said it's good. It could be better, but it's good. Goal number 1 had this. We'll see where the difference. Benson says good if you can add metrics. Very important. Number 3, let's ensure that we have 0 security incidents. Is it a good goal or a bad goal? Let's go. Bad. Bad. So number 1 is still the most disputed. Bad. No one says it's good. Malik says bad. Very bad. Mark says it's very bad. And the last goal in our exercise, so getting feedback from so one way to ensure that our AppSec department is doing well is getting user feedback from our 25 users by having monthly surveys. Is it a good goal or is it a bad goal? Angel is saying, well, if someone can ensure that, I will pay more to him or her, them. Yeah. Peter says it's good. Tracy says it's good. Yeah, I want more answers for this last goal. I have 2 so far. Do I stick with the 2? Or is it answers not loading on my end? Good, but I'm not sure if it improves AppSec. Good, that's Dennis. So what is the marking scheme? Number 2 and number 4 are good goals because they are they're smart. They're very specific on what you want and the how you will do it. Very important. Of course, they were not time bound in this case, except number 4. But when say when to call you is when the help desk calls you, so that everything does not stop with you. When do they call you? They do not tell you anything. So Fessy is saying there's always an improvement that another person will spot that is out of your sight. Definitely, yes, very important. There's always that, especially from an outside user. All of you are devs. Most of you here are devs, and you know how users have eyes that we do not see stuff. We do not see, especially when you're doing that requirements gathering and you've prepared the system, and they take you back to 0 because you did not see that coming. So goal 1 is bad because it's not really specific on what are you increasing in AppSec by 20%? What is that? But in goal 2 and number 3, And number 4, there's always feedback. Feedback is very important in AppSec, as Stacey has said, that there's always something that someone else will see. For example, in your security champions program, or in your AppSec champions program, ask them, are the tools that you're using important for you? Are they convenient? Have they hit your purpose? Because users want to feel engaged. Let them own the process. Because once you own it, they'll be like, this is not even in my pay rate, so let me stick with it. Number 3, you cannot ensure that you have 0 security incidents. But yes, it's a goal. It's a good one to have 0. But how are you gonna achieve it? Okay. So these are some of the tools that you can use. They're very wide, and I would encourage you to go read about them and go check them out. And there some of them are basic, intermediate. Some of them are modern tools. We have integrated bug tracker. We have like the CMs. I keep forgetting the full meaning of CM because in cybersecurity, I'm sure even devs, we are always using acronyms that we forget what they mean. You have the VM and the VA scanners. Yes, an API gateway is very important so that you protect your API from abuse, from overuse, and also mishandling. Templates. When you're doing security education, for example, one of the projects that I'm working on currently is in one of the projects outside SAP is training, which is not SAP involved, is training developers on multi-factor authentication and using a certain system. And one important thing to use there is templates, because I need to know how is the experience. Instead of meeting all the 100 of them every day, just giving them a simple template to keep documenting their experience. Because after they document the experience, because I'm a consultant in that capacity, I can now recommend to the organization that you can actually use this way, and this is the best way of use according to the 100 developers that we work with. So having templates is very important for even for devs. It's even not AppSec only, but devs is also important, depending on what platform is more convenient for you and convenient for your users. Service mesh as well, and file integrity monitoring. We said integrity is one of the important things, and also dynamic application system testing, and also static application system testing tools are very important. See the chart. Yes, yeah, Robert is giving you the security information and event management, because every day I just say CM, and I don't know what, like I know what CM is, but I don't know that full acronym of it. So you always have to have, I spoke about documenting, and you in your secure software development life cycle have policies, and I'll give you an example of a policy that you can have, and in terms of what you can use there. So in your policy, include that all applications must have all the security requirements that you have documented somewhere. Maybe you've stored somewhere in the system that they are accessible to all developers. So before release, all the applications must have that. All applications must undergo 2 threat modeling workshops, or threat modeling, or 3 or 5, depending on the kind of application. Be specific about it so that your devs, or you as devs, are very clear about what you want. All applications must have secure coding guidelines. The other one is code review on all pull requests. Penetration testing, very important. Yeah, just having an outside eye. Some companies invest in bug bounty, but just having that outside eye from outside on whether it's possible to attack that system. I really like CTFs, that's capture the flag. If you play them and you want to go head to head, let's do this. So that's also one thing. And also SCA scans, at least once per week is very important. And also having a static application system testing just before release, so that it doesn't go to the market and then get back to you that there's a problem on the second day or even on that night. So you're not sleeping all night because you're supposed to measure security incidents. So having all these concepts in you, and these are like 9 statements or less on your policy, and just as long as it has been appended by the management, just spread it. I'm telling you, once you have the management trust, everyone is gonna use all these policies, among others that are very specific to your organization, because organizations have different needs. For example, if you're not processing personal data, you might not need all this, but if you're processing personal data, you need this and maybe much more. If you're creating a health system, for example, the GDPR is very specific about, GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation of the European Union that protects all EU citizens, regardless of where they're based. So if they're based in Kenya, they have to be protected there. Otherwise, if you prepare a system, for example, a health app, and their system is, their data is leaked, then you can be sued. In a court of law. So depending also on the kind of data that you're processing, some of them here might be relevant and some might not be relevant. Someone spoke about metrics, the metrics that matter in any system. In an AppSec, in the AppSec, it's the time to detect a breach and the time taken to resolve. That's a very important metric. Every time you have a breach, just check how long do we take to restore a system. First, how long do it? I told you on average, organizations take 217 days. 217 days is like how many months in a year? Let's say an average of 6 months in a year to detect a breach. So what time in your organization are you taking to detect and also resolve that breach? The costs, that how long what the AppSec program in your organization has cost you, because you'll need to hire talent, you'll need more tools, you'll need more resources. So compared to that and the profits and what is it really important? And then when your system is down, without considering AppSec, let's say you're hacked and there's this ransomware. What do you really need it? Can you afford that money? But please never say that you can afford any money in a ransomware. It's never cool. It's never cool. Another metric that is very important is tools available. What tools do you already have, and which ones more do you need, so that you can detect breaches, you can resolve them, and you can get all the critical business functions in place. Legal and regulatory requirements, such as the standards that exist, like ISO 27001, the GDPR, the Data Protection Act in Kenya that is coming up. That's something you should watch out to, because if it happens to be like GDPR in terms of implementation, that's a good opportunity for you to learn all these AppSec, because most organizations will be required to be compliant. And why personal data? And mostly it's all about personal data processing, which is in every part of our life that is being processed. Time between incidents. It's also another metric. If you keep experiencing incidents every 2 weeks, you need to go back to the boardroom and ask yourself as a team, what are we doing wrong? Because it's not what we are doing right. If you're experiencing a breach between maybe 5 years or 10 years, then go to the boardroom and say, what are we doing right, so that we can keep doing it more and more. And some of these tools that you may use, one of them is highly recommended, is Excel, which I never recommend, but it's recommended out here. Power BI it's also a nice tool, Threadfix, and also having a cloud dashboard for all your cloud tools. These are some of the metrics that matter. They can be many, they can be few, depending on what your organization looks like. But these are also the metrics that you use when you're going to the board, when you're going to the management, to convince them on whether they want to fund your project, whether they want to sponsor your project of application security. Because as I said, it's also a resource. It's a huge resource for any organization. So learn about AppSec, learn about all those tools, learn about mentorship, learn. Mentorship is learning. Learn in those communities that you've joined, including this one, and then build something and then measure. So always ensure that it's a consistency, that you're learning, build, measure. Learn. If you cannot measure it, then it's not important to build it. Then it's not possible. It's not important to learn it, because in measuring, I said, making one mistake is okay, making 2, making 3 mistakes are okay, they are part of learning. So always make sure it's a series of learning, build, measure, learn, build, measure. Thank you, and back to you, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Diana, for the wonderful presentation and the great insight that you have provided. So I'll hand it over to Okot to handle QA in case anyone has any further questions regarding this. So Okot, take it over.
Yeah, thank you very much, Diana, and thank you very much, Maureen. And thank everybody who came. So before we continue, I'd like to see if there's any question to Diana, to be specific, or another question related to the Flutter Kisumu, or anybody who is here. That is, it's open.
Yeah, I can see Fessy asked a question. Yes, first Robert is saying there's always 3-letter acronyms, and it's in big organization, especially, it's like they make it, they ensure that it's 3. Maybe even whatever I'm sharing on the screen can be now my acronym LBM. But yeah, there are always many acronyms out here. And thanks for helping in the chat or in explaining all these acronyms that I've been mentioning. So first is asking, I always thought that I was only focused to the efficiency and productivity of my apps and leave security to a third-party organization. Make sure that my web key API is secure. What do you say about that? Very nice question, because some organizations leave security to their third party, because they say if you cannot manage risk, one part of managing risk is actually outsourcing. If you don't have the capacity to do so, some organizations prefer to outsource this. Yes, so that's one part, but even if you are outsourcing, ensure that that organization is working closely with your devs. For example, if it's with the app, let them not measure at the end, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of resources, that back and forth. And I've met developers who I've introduced myself to them as a cybersecurity professional, and they told me how much they hate the cyber guys in their organization. It's not personal, it's because there's a lot of back and forth. For me, you'll bring to me a system and I'll ask you, why can I not see this specific section of the GDPR? It has not been hit. Right now I'm in the EU region, so those are the kind of things that I look at. So it's what I would say, even if you're outsourcing, ensure that they're working closely. Robert, any suggestion or good resources about securing mobile applications in code? I will send them to Maureen, who will escalate them to you. I'll send you the links. Yes.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so I also have another question regarding the security. So as we develop, at what point should we now plug in the security bit? Should it be like from the initial stages within the code, applying like good security measures on how we implement the code, or the security should come at the end after finishing developing the app, and now we when checking you find that this thing is not working as expected, let's plug in security. So at what point should security come in during development?
Good question. It should come right from the first. Yes, starting from the left, securing left from the right. So ensure that it starts, you see where you're doing the requirements gathering, that you have someone in AppSec or DevSecOps right there, who is checking what are the risks, who is also actually ready even to ask the customers what kind of the risk that they may have. And I will keep using Health app, because Health takes processes all our personal data. Health needs all our personal data, and personal data in this case is any data that identifies me as a person, my date of birth, my ID number. When I'm living, those of you who are not from Kenya, in Kenya, sometimes you get into those buildings and they tell you to leave your ID. It freaks me out every time, because that's my personal data. You run my ID number, you get everything that you need from me. So it's just those aspects of just right from the start. Where are you? During the requirements, what kind of personal data will you be collecting? Do you want us to collect through this app? Whether there'll be any integrations in future and such stuff. So start from the right from the left, and right in this case, not the hand, but like right the first thing. the first thing should be like from the beginning, and work with a DevSecOps person. And just to give you an idea is that a lot of organizations, at least I know in Europe, nowadays hire people who have DevSecOps. Like you have the developer skills, and ops is like so common. Of course, you have them, but you always have an addition when you have a security concept that you are aware about, because every organization right now, there are so many laws coming on personal development. China is just coming up with a new law from November 1st. It doesn't matter whether you're in China or not, but we are dreamers. We want to work everywhere. We want to bring solutions everywhere. So just start familiarizing yourself with security concepts. And cybersecurity is so wide. For example, my focus is on application security and compliance. Those are two different topics that I decided, like, these are the topics I'm going to focus on, and among many other topics. So it's not a must to know everything, but just like knowing bits of topics, and now knowing what you're most passionate about, so that let an opportunity find you prepared. You're applying to a big company that you've always wanted to work for all your life, and all you need to show them, or all you need to say in an interview, is one security concept. And if your competitor says it, they get the job and you don't. So let an opportunity just find you prepared. Even if you're a dev, just don't focus on that, but just have some security concepts that you may be aware about. Over to you, Maureen.
Thank you so much for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Maureen, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just saying thank you so much, Diana, for the insights and for answering the question.
Thank you. Someone was speaking? Was it okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I was just still confirming if there's still more questions. Let's keep them coming. And yeah, so I think if you have a question, or should the question arise during the week, or maybe you come up with a question some days to come, you can always share it with Maureen or me, so that we can always take it to Diana. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, there's another question here. So I see, before you go, because we still have a little bit of time. There's Benson Mushoki talking about how do you report a bug? Like there's this app I was using, I noticed it had biometric related app, that is the M-Pesa, that is. Okay, M-Pesa, sorry. Not M-Pesa specifically.
Good question. So once you notice a bug, contact the product owners. That's Safaricom. Contact them and tell them. I know Safaricom also had a bug bounty project where they were paying people to identify bugs. You could also consider going to HackerOne and putting it there. It could also be an opportunity for you to earn money because of your talent, because you discovered that bug. So some companies have those bug bounty projects on HackerOne or whatever apps that they use. The other one is contacting them directly. I can see I've contacted them via Twitter and email, but they see it as a joke. Yes. I'm trying to remember the head of cybersecurity. His name is Tim Nyong'o, in head of cybersecurity in Safaricom, because I know him. But you can also try to, let me show you someone you can contact. You can go look for them on LinkedIn, because this is one person who works in cybersecurity, and then I think his name is Nyong'o, Tim Nyong'o or someone. I can't remember his first name. Head of cybersecurity in Safaricom as well. If works for Safaricom, you can contact her, and also runs a cybersecurity community in Kenya. But you can also contact the head of cybersecurity directly. Even a Google search, a Google search of cybersecurity, like head of cybersecurity in Safaricom, will tell you who that is. I've forgotten his name. And yeah, just have a chat with them, have their insights, because that's a serious issue, especially M-Pesa that deals with a lot of transactions per day, and them seeing them as a joke. And that's where the trap is for most companies in our country. in our continent, for example, because they see this, because there are no compliance regulations that are strict like here. So they see everything as a joke. Let compliance get in. Again, they will start being compliant and ignore everything else. And that could expose a lot in your system, a lot in the user system. So I would recommend that don't give up yet, but keep pushing, keep pushing. Yeah, and if in your own organization, ensure that you have bug bounty programs, or you can push for bug bounty programs, because they're good programs that allow an eye from the outside to see whether your system is hackable or not. I hope that answers your question. Yes, James Nyongo. Yeah. Thanks, Faith.
All right, thank you for that, Diana, and thank you for answering the questions, and thank you, Okot, for handling QA. So at this moment, I'd like to give maybe 2 people to say final words before Diana does. So I'd pick Ajel, because I'd love to hear from him. I think it's a him. So let's hear from you briefly about the session in general.
Hi.
Hi.
I was so muted for all the place. So hello. Actually, a friend of mine sent me this video, well, this meetup, because I was looking information about how some people ask me about how security should be taken care of. So I'm really new at this. I mean, I know about security basics and everything, but I'm not so into that. I left to the people who know. So I was just actually knowing concepts and everything. So I think that the meetup, the talk from Diana, it's pretty good, because it's not going too deep, and that's always good for me, because I'm starting on this kind of topic. So as Robert, I think it was so much letters in there, so much hard to understand. So I need to definitely go deeper, but for like a point of view, for a newbie point of view, like myself on security, in this kind of security, talking about everything, I live with the message that you left. I think, I don't know, Kerem, who was the one who left something, that the security needs to be taken care of at the same time that you're talking about accessibility, architectural localization. So because people tend to get that when the app is finished, and that's we're so far away. So definitely I really enjoyed the talk, and I was kind of dispersed at the beginning because it's 6 a.m. for me, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Diana, and the whole team for make this happen.
Thank you, Ajay. Sorry about that. It's too early for you, and thank you for your feedback.
No, don't worry. It was my decision, and I enjoy being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's hear from one last person. I'll select Malik. Your feedback regarding the session about app security.
Hi everyone. I personally, like Diana, likes every part of watching the movies about cybersecurity and movies like Mr. Robot, and I really enjoyed to see what they were doing and all that. Me personally, I'm on the side of I'm an app developer. I'm still new at it, but I really wanted to get into cybersecurity as well, so I wanted to learn more. But I really enjoyed the session. I learned a bit. I really like to get more into it, finding a mentor and all that. But everything else has been good so far. And thank you for the session, Diana, and everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik. So I'll hand it over to Diana for her last words for us as we end the session.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your kind words. I'm glad you found it insightful, and I also learned something. And thank you for your engagement on the chat. For mentorship, I will share also a podcast with Maureen on when I was hosted to speak. It's a 15-minute podcast, so I think it's manageable for you to listen to it. And I spoke about the importance of mentorship and how you can find a mentor. So yes, it's a big topic, and happy to speak to it on another forum like this, because it never ends. It's something that we need in all our lives, and we never notice that we have it until we have it. So I will leave you with the learn, build, and measure. Learn, build, measure. Learn, build, measure. So when you're getting into security, if you're getting into it, if you're a dev who doesn't want to get into security, but you want to add a security concept, I told you about the DevSecOps concept. Yeah, learn about it, build, and then measure. Learn, build, measure. If it's not measurable, then it doesn't deserve to be built. And yes, and let an opportunity find you prepared. When I applied for this job here in Germany, for a moment in my life, I never thought I would work outside Kenya, but it's because an opportunity came and it found me prepared. I was always doing online courses, and I remember some people would ask me, why do you keep doing them? But I would tell them, because I have time and I'm interested in learning, and I just want to learn. And when an opportunity knocked on the door and I could prove that I know this concept in an interview without reading, because questions were just coming out from everywhere and anywhere. Of course, some of them were about my experience, and some of them were about what I can offer to the table. And there I was already. So let also an opportunity find you prepared in every aspect of your lives. And in that, I wish you a very nice rest of the weekend. Bye-bye.